Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Okay, welcome back. Take two.
Take two, guys. Yeah, we were like 14 minutes into the video and then it shut off. So, anyway, we wanted to cover some things, and you are in our little workout room. This is a small bedroom, maybe 9 by 11, that we use as our exercise room. As you can see, we have kettlebells from 60 pounds down to 5 pounds, and we have some exercise equipment. Um, this right here is our leg lift, leg extension machine. It actually is really good. It feels as good as the ones in the gyms, as you can see Rama there. And then we have our power tower for pull-ups, leg extensions, and dips. You can see some exercise bands over there that are pretty heavy gauge down to really light gauge. Exercise bands are great for rehabilitation, and you could use them in a lot of different circumstances. We do have an incline bench, we have a flat bench, and then we have our little workout center here, leverage machine, which is really great. As you can see, Preacher here, this does also have a leg extension leg curl. It has cables attached to it. Pec deck, you could do bench press, military, behind neck press, push downs, pull downs. Really cool. It holds up to 800 pounds. And, very, very durable. Really happy with it. Got it actually from Amazon. I want to say it was about 50% off when I got it. I always time things. I always watch and then wait for sales and then pull the trigger when we know we're going to get the use out of it. And being as that there's no gyms within 40 minutes of us, at least, I think it makes sense to have a home gym. And really, since
We
2020, I
yeah.
mean, I don't go to the gym anymore.
Well, we don't leave the babies at home either. I mean, we're kind of together with the babies, and so everything we do, we're at home people, work and everything. So it's a really nice setup. It's a really, really nice setup. And we use it, I would say like 5 days a week. You think we're in here?
Well, I have a very, very simple program that I follow, and it's pretty much a push pull. And Cindy kind of follows what I do. She does the opposite of what I do. So, this is kind of how we end up sharing such limited equipment in a good, productive way. So, push pull, basically chest, shoulders, and tries one day, take a day off from resistance training, and then the next day is back, buys, and legs and abs. And then take a day off from resistance training. And those days off from resistance training, those are a higher cardio day, maybe 45 minutes on the elliptical machine. We have an elliptical machine with EWAT, which is exercise with oxygen therapy, which again, we've talked about how powerful oxygen is in its fight against any and all forms of disease, really, when you get down to it. So we do training with that. We have like a mask that we will put on. We could mimic high altitude training as well, although we don't always do that. And really, we haven't done that since we got into the new place. But yeah, we do absolutely exercise with oxygen all the time. So, I would say if we're being realistic, for resistance, workouts a week, and for cardio workouts a week, although we also go and we walk out in the yard and do laps with the dogs as well. And then we do our Qigong and we do our yoga as well as our mantras and meditation. So, mantras and meditation every single day. Qigong and yoga, we try to do most days as well. So, we do a lot. We really do. I mean, some days, honestly, self care, quote unquote, we're blessed to be able to, dedicate several hours quite often to self care. And that is a blessing, but that's,
It's critical.
something something that is critical. And I don't know if we would have made it through the times past without that self-care program.
Right. And it goes along with our work and what we do as healers and working in the quantum field. You need to keep your vibration high when you're working on other people, because you're going to be sending your light, your very best bodily light, over to assist someone else. So we want to be the best we can possibly be. And the food that you put in your body, the mantras, the things that you watch, the things that you do, it's so very important to keep that vibration up there when it comes to ascension and it comes to working on other people and helping other people heal and find a way for their life to be livable. Because honestly, we get people who they've really had a lot of problems and they just want a better life, and they've been through everything else, and finally they come to us and they're like, I've done all these other things, I've been to every doctor, I've had every blood work done, I've done all the things, and things just are not better. And we have a way of getting in there to help someone find a better way to be. I mean, Mike has some of the best advice when it comes to rehabilitation because he has all of this training.
Yeah, it's interesting. When the guides described me, they said, well, you're a rehabilitation specialist, is what you are. And again, it's mind, body, spirit. I've shared that I was a chubby kid that was ostracized by the kids in the neighborhood and picked on by a gang of kids when I was 10 to 12. And at 12, I saved up paper route money and bought a weight set. I bought a weight bench, and I also signed. I asked my mom to help me sign up over at the local martial arts school, and so that transformed me. I went, and just totally transformed, and I've never looked back. So working out has always been in my life since 12 years old. There's never been a prolonged period of time when I didn't exercise regularly, and I'll be 60. So, it's again about taking care of the body, but also body, mind, spirit complex. And that's part of the bigger program, as you see the kids play here. Because it's not just the physical component. Yes, we do exercise all the time. So, again, 4 resistance training sessions a week is typical, and 4 at least cardio, but then also put in the mind, body, spirit side of it in its entirety with the meditation, which is daily, and we do our mantras before we do a video, so we're in the best frame of mind. Typically, I would say we do our mantras and meditation for about a half hour or so, sometimes longer, sometimes a little less, depending on what comes through, before we really get started with the day. And that again is setting a tone for the day. Like Cindy was talking about background. So yeah, I've been a personal trainer, and I actually got certified in personal training when I was working 50 hours a week in the corporate world, just because I've always been kind of a gym rat and I love exercise, fitness. And also I'm a double Gemini, so I have a lot of energy and I need to be busy. I need to have a lot of things going, more than one fire in the iron in the fire. That's what I want to get across there. As you see, Sassy controls these two. She is the boss, by the way. 12 pounds of terror. So we basically have a pretty structured program, and we are super consistent. Yeah, sometimes we just feel off. You go with those feelings if you think there is something going on and your body needs time to rest, especially in these times, because as we were sharing, detoxing is a priority. Then you take the extra time to rest, and then you get back on that treadmill, so to speak. So, besides this equipment, again, we have an elliptical with the exercise with oxygen therapy in another room. But what I wanted to get across was we wanted to talk about human potential, because what really is our potential? I think for most people, what is really truly normal human potential is going to seem superhuman, supernatural, super normal, crazy. because it's just a world that cultivates the opposite of being the best you. It's a world that cultivates you being the best servant for the power structure and not the best you, not realizing your potential. People will say, well, how do I develop these abilities? First off, I would say, watch your intake of whatever you're taking in, food wise and energy wise. So obviously, clean, organic, whole foods as much as possible. Um, I don't, I don't buy it. Some people will say, well, there's nothing organic, so why should I even buy organic? Well, when you're not getting organic, for one, you might be getting GMOs. You might be getting, if it's meats and things, loads of antibiotics and steroids and hormones. You, put it this way: if you're getting organic, it's going to be less toxic. Even
Right.
if it's not perfect, it's less toxic than stuff that we know is not organic.
Well, you still you do the absolute best you can because the intention that you put into it definitely counts for something when it comes to this world of quantum and energy that we are dealing with. I mean, we're moving into a different realm. So your intention, the placebo effect, the nocebo effect, if you are being honest with yourself and you are doing the absolute best you can, that's going to be reflected in your body.
Yeah, absolutely. So, eat whole foods, avoid processed foods as much as possible. If you're going to have something carbonated, maybe just, get some good carbonated water where you know where it comes from, and lay off the sodas. Or, if you have to do it in steps, get something that maybe has stevia in it. Always look in terms of eliminating some of the toxicity and just keep working towards the goal. Realize too, when we talk about intake, yeah, a lot of the music out there that you listen to, or not that you guys do listen to, but that's out there that most people listen to, very low vibe. And as you raise your frequency, you'll find you won't really have the same tolerance. You might still love some blasts from the past. I love a lot of, every now and then I get in the mood and I want to just put on 80s one hit wonders, because it'll make me laugh and
Mhm.
smile. And that's all fine. But at the same time, mindful of the music, the things that we watch. Yeah, I mean, we watched things like Leave the World Behind, and we do watch things for our work, because we want to see what's being telegraphed, or people will say, have you seen this movie? Oh my God, what they told us there. So yeah, we do watch things like that, but most of the time we try to avoid too much of that toxicity because there is so much lower frequency vibes in, again, the Netflix things and things like the mainstream music that's out there. So be mindful of that as well. Give your time, your body and your mind, and your spirit time to have a break from all that and just be out in nature, listening to birds, listening to the sounds of nature itself. And that is very healing.
Mhm. It's extremely healing. And then understand that we are so busy in our lives. We're using our senses all the time. Our senses are all over the place, like, little baby goats. It's like trying to herd baby goats. Your eyes, your taste, your feel, touch. I mean, these senses are everywhere, and they can really overload the body. And that's where quieting the mind, quieting the soul can really, really help pull those senses in and help you regain a lot of your energy because we're electrical beings. And when we have our electrical tentacles out there everywhere, we're giving electricity to everywhere, everything, to the kids, to the dogs, to other people, to relatives, to work. I mean, we're just constantly out there giving our energy to something else. So it makes it super critical to find time for yourself and love yourself and give yourself that attention. Otherwise, things do start to go downhill if you're not giving yourself that attention that you need and deserve. And I think that's kind of been twisted a little bit in our culture where, people might say, oh, you're being selfish. Whereas we really need to give ourselves the time. We need to give ourselves the love. Just like, you would give yourself time and love to a friend who's having a hard time, you need to dedicate that time to yourself. And this definitely helps with the ascension process. It helps raise the vibration. It brings you into alignment. It shows you what needs healing. So there's a lot of reasons to have your mind, body, breath practice. And it's not always easy to do. Definitely not easy to do. Sometimes, you lack the motivation. It's like, where am I going to find this energy? And luckily for Mike, he's always has this motivation. He's always go, 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 go. In my case, I used to be that way, and then something hit, just like with a lot of people, something hits and it's like just something falls out of you. And it's like, oh my gosh, I have this dark hole. I know I need to do these things, but how am I going to find the motivation to do them? And I was asking myself, because I was having trouble yesterday. It's like, oh God, I got to get through this. So, that ability to decide where willful suffering, where do you want to suffer? And I would rather suffer through the workout than suffer feeling weak and suffer not being strong enough and suffer feeling other things like insecurity. I'd much rather suffer while I'm lifting the weights and get through that. So it's like me deciding, choosing my suck. I'd rather do it that way. Same with diet. Sometimes it's really hard to decide to eat the right thing. If you don't eat the right thing, then you're deciding to allow yourself to be in pain, willful suffering. If you do decide to fight against those cravings, then that's what you're doing. You're fighting against the cravings. That is your suffering. So a lot of people who've gone through serious trauma that got to them, that really, really got to them, it's like finding these ways in your mind to get around these traumas, to show yourself love, because usually the things that happen, they strip us of that ability to give ourselves love because we don't think that we are enough. And Mike is so good at looking at someone's situation and making really practical, giving them really practical advice on, how do you get into a mind, body, breath practice? And we just sort of work together and tag team and help people find that spiritual path that's going to give them a better quality of life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember going, I only went to my 20-year reunion for high school, and it was shocking to see people that are in their, 37, 38 years old, and their bodies are already feeling pretty shot. And, for me, I think I didn't come into my prime really until the 50s, so 40s, mid 40s. When did I feel the strongest and healthiest? It was within the last 20 years, not not going back farther. I don't think we have to age like they make us think we age. I think really there's the sky's the limit. I've done some stupid things in my life. I've done a lot of heavy work, a lot of physical work. Again, I've had a variety of different positions in life, and I've shared some of those with you guys. As I was saying, when I was in the corporate world, that's when I decided to, why not? It's something I want to do. I want to be licensed as a personal trainer. So, I got certified by a few different organizations, studied nutrition doing that, got certified in sports nutrition. And then eventually I ended up going the route of learning a lot of other things. And even concurrent with that, I was practicing Qigong since, gosh, 30 something years practicing Qigong. Became a Reiki master teacher, studied pranic healing, studied craniosacral therapy along with massage therapy in more of a clinical setting. I've worked in clinical settings. I've worked in, offices that are offices of last resort where people have gone away from the medical system and looked to people that understand herbology and acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine, naturopaths. I do think that would be my first recommendation if you're coming up with major life challenges of a health variety. I would find a really good naturopath and go down that route. There's what we call functional medicine now, which is blossoming, as people start to realize that these quote unquote alternatives were actually very, very effective without all the side effects that we see in modern medicine. And they don't just mask symptoms, they literally get to the root. We need to get to the root. And, in traditional Chinese medicine, most disease is dis-ease. And Sita will give you that too. Stop, C. Stop. It literally is emotions that we haven't dealt with, energies that we have not dealt with. And, this is part of what we do when we coach people in spiritual coaching. And it's very, very all encompassing, again, what we do, because we do it from the energetic point of view, but we also have the very, very practical, physical background as well. I really enjoyed working in many different situations in Florida, for fun. On Saturdays, I was teaching a boot camp, and just a lot of people in a lot of different conditions of health that just wanted to get healthier. And we did it in a group setting, using just really usually one kettlebell, and that's pretty much it. Maybe some bands we'd push through and push ourselves within our limits, but in a challenging workout, and it was a lot of fun. It was very enjoyable. And in Florida, in another setting, I was helping people rehabbing again from things like stroke, and also teaching them qigong as well as exercise techniques, and giving them help in diet as well. So kind of all over the place. And that's just me. I just have a lot of different interests. And really, when I look at it, it really is all about helping people rehab and become the best they can be. I got to say, really, what you have to have is the desire, and you have the willpower to prioritize something and stick with it, which is not easy.
No, and that's where the mind comes into place, and that's where a lot of us we've just kind of had the air, all of the passion just ripped right out of you through certain traumas. But there's a way through, through the energy work to bring that back, to give that back to somebody, because we're electrical beings, and when it comes to trauma and emotions, they get stuck in our organs. So there are ways, and I use the biofield tuning to get in there and diffuse a lot of these energies and remove blocks. So you now have that ability, you have that energy back that you had when you were younger, and suddenly you have that aha moment, that desire, and you find those things that you need to tell yourself. When you're struggling to do what you need to do for self-love, it's like you find ways around your own mind and get in there, and you find ways to get it done. And this is why we work on so many different levels. I think we work really well together. So Mike is so extremely well-rounded in the world of health and fitness. And then I came along with, working from it from a different dimension, which is very
Well,
different.
what Cindy really is she is a shaman. She is a shaman through and through, in the truest sense.
You make that bridge, you build that bridge for someone between the body and the spirit realm. You connect them with their guides and their angels, and you're also connecting them with strength and with their ancestors. So using those shamanic abilities is what I do. And instead of a drum, I don't usually use a drum. I use tuning forks, and I use sound, and this is how I begin to help remove blocks and allow your guides and angels to come in and help you.
Yes, and she does use a gong, and we do have drums too. So we do approach it in many different ways, and then I love to also be a channel for music, and so do my little more frequency oriented music. It's not meant to be pop catchy or appeal to the masses, but it is high vibe, and it also has Cindy's tuning going on in the background. So these are all things that we do and like to help others with. When you think about exercising, think in terms of exercising your mind, body, and spirit, all of those things, because we have to be actively engaged in all aspects of what we really are. Again, a mind, body, spirit complex, building all those aspects. So it is kind of like a pyramid again. Develop creative hobbies. I think that is very critical, and it's really a subject for another video. But things that could ultimately perhaps lead to, living and working your passion, living your passion, and sharing your passion. That is so, so critical. Learning to breathe properly, again, that comes with Qigong and yoga and meditation as well. So detox daily, spread love in everything that you do. Again, when we eat meals, we sit down and we give thanks for it, and we charge it, and we put out the intention that's going to heal our mind, body, spirit. And then also we ask that everyone that made that possible, from the plants, that are on the plate to, if it's fish or whatever it is, for those entities that were involved in that and in making that meal possible, we pray the same for them.
Yes, you charge. You use your electricity to charge your meal and charge it for your cells and tell it where you need this nutrition to go, because that's important.
So we'll be going into more details in these, but we wanted to get this one in there to give you guys an overview of a direction that we're going to go down to help people when they say, how do I develop, abilities, like ESP, telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition? How do I, regain control of my physical vitality? And, so many things that we see coming up all time and time again. Again, it is a process, and it takes time and it takes dedication. And you have to do it in a very holistic way.
Indeed.
As always, guys, thanks for your support. You could set up a time to have a session with us, evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com, or just message us here on Patreon. Namaste.
Namaste.